So just how good are image stabilizer systems on cameras, on DSLRs? We're going to put that to the test. We're going to put it up against a professional filming gimbal. Now, we use image stabilizers on cameras, obviously for shooting because they're supposed to steady the shots and so on and so forth, but we use DSLRs now for filming, and a lot of people use them for filming. And you use them for something called B-roll, and that's that cool stuff that you see in between the shots. Here's some of ours now. So you use on your DSLR image stabilizers to get that filming effect, but how good actually are they when compared with a professional filming gimbal? That is what we're going to put into the test in this video here. Now we have got the Olympus OMD EM1 Mark II, arguably the best image stabilizing system on any camera. It's got a sensor shift image stabilizer, it's got a lens image stabilizer, and it does some digital image stabilizing as well for filming. So it probably don't get better than this. And we're going to put this up against the Cyan Crane Free Lab, which is a professional filming gimbal for DSLR cameras, arguably again the best out there on the market. All right, now that is clearly going to be better when it comes to filming because it's made for filming. That is not the question here. What the question is, just how much better is it? And let's really see how good image stabilizers are on DSLRs, and like I said before, arguably the best image stabilizer out there. Let's really put it to the test and see what goes on. Let's go. Okay, so we're going to do a series of typical filming shots with the Olympus and with the Crane Free Lab, and we're going to compare them. Just for technical people out there, I'm going to be shooting at 50 frames per second, and we're going to slow that down by half for the video. Now the first shot that we're going to do is like a tracking shot. So a tracking shot, well, obviously is normally done on films on tracks, but we can mimic it with this by just, you know, walking side to side. We're going to do it in these lovely woods here. I'm just going to leave it on manual focus into the distance, and let's go. So here we go, recording, and let's go for a track shot. Okay, now let's try it with a gimbal. Okay, now let's do that track shot with the gimbal here, with the Crane Free Lab. Now, just so that you know, both cameras I have set to 50mm focal length, or the equivalent of. So this one's at 50mm, the Olympus is at 25, and that's so that they look the same. And the aperture is at f4 on both of the cameras as well. So we're trying to, just so that we could try and keep everything exactly the same. And we're focused into infinity on both of the cameras as well. So let's go for this track shot. Now this is really cool, this gimbal, because it's got a lock function. And that means that I can lock the camera into a certain position, i.e. that way, so that wherever I move the gimbal, if you see there, it will stay in position. Okay, recording, and let's go. Okay, cool, let's do the next shot. Okay, the next shot that we're going to do is the reveal shot. You've probably seen that on a million videos before, and basically you come up and over something and reveal the scene. Okay, so I'm going to come over this log and reveal the lovely bluebells in the woodland. that's the idea. Here we go, recording. Okay, now let's try it with the gimbal. This is really cool because I've got a handle which I can hold down low, and let's go. Recording. Okay, now let's do the next shot. The next shot that we're going to do is the walking shot, typical walking forwards. And what I'm going to do to really put it to the test is I'm going to walk and then I'm going to start to run, and that will really see how this gimbal fares against the image stabilizer. I can tell you that now. So here we go. Get me exposure right and recording. Let's go. Okay, so walking. Now I'm going to start to run. Now, firstly, I don't want anyone laughing at me running, but that's that. Now we need to do it with the gimbal. Here we go. Recording. Walking and running. Okay, that's that. Now, before we go back to the studio to put these together and have a good look, I'm going to do something that this gimbal can do that no DSLR camera can do without one, and this has got something called vortex. That's it's got a mode called vortex, and the camera can spin as you're moving it. So we're going to give that a quick go because I think it's going to look really cool. Let's go. Okay, let's enter vortex mode on the Crane Free Lab here by double clicking this POV button here. Yes, I'm going to hold it close to the floor and recording. That is something that you can't do without one of these gimbals. Now let's go back to the studio and have a good look at the difference between the two shots and give you a verdict. Let's go. All right guys, we're back in the studio and I've had a good look at these videos. Now what we're going to do is we're going to play them side by side and I'm going to slow them down. So we shot at 50 frames per second out there. We're going to slow it down by half to 25 frames per second, and you know that's because that's what you generally do when it comes to making B-roll and all of them cool clips for your videos. All right, so let's start off by looking at the track shot side by side. So when it comes to the Olympus shot for this, I actually thought it fared pretty well. It wasn't that jerky at all. It was hard to keep level because, well, obviously you're trying to bend down and hold the camera, so it's hard to keep it level. But in general, I thought that the image stabilizing system there did a fairly good job. So when it came to using the Crane Free Lab, obviously it was a little bit more smoother and the camera was level, and that's because you're using a gimbal, and that's what it does. The lock mode function as well, that really helped. But when you compare the two together, they're actually all right. The Olympus has fared pretty well against a professional gimbal. So I was pretty surprised by that. I was actually expecting worst. Now let's look at the reveal shots together. So for this particular test, the Olympus didn't fare that well. The Olympus technology got the better of itself because I had it set to all guns a blazing, all right? So we had the sensor shift image stabilizer set, there's a lens image stabilizer on it, and there's also a digital stabilizing system in the Olympus, and I've put all of them three things on together. And what you can see in this clip is it kind of jerks, it kind of catches up with itself. That's because it's looking at a log, it's looking at leaves, it's doing whatever it's doing, and it's trying to adjust itself as it goes. So it didn't really work well for this particular test. Now, I've done things like this before with the Olympus camera, and actually in situations like this where the sensor and all the image stabilizing system is jerking, you can just leave it on sensor shift image stabilizing, and it seems to do a pretty good job. But in this case, you know, I wanted to show you the full kind of image stabilizing systems on cameras, and that's what this has got. And in this particular test, it didn't fare that well, whereas the gimbal was lovely and smooth, produced this lovely reveal shot, which are great for videos, for B-roll and stuff like that. Them reveal shots are, well, they're classic, aren't they? You see them everywhere. Yeah, and the gimbal did an extremely good job in that test. Okay, now let's look at the walking and running shots side by side. So the Olympus, I thought, fared quite well in the walking part of this test. It was very smooth and very stable. When I started to run with the Olympus, then it got really shaky and really jerky. But for the walking test, it worked really well. And I tell you what, that is going to be great for vlogging. Imagine all you do, turn the camera around at yourself and walk along, and that is going to be nice and smooth. And yeah, I think it did a pretty good job for walking. Running, not so much. Now, when it came to the Crane 3, the Pro gimbal there, the walking again was very, very smooth. But comparing it with the Olympus, they're quite similar, in fact. And I thought that, you know, that the Olympus fared up quite well there. And the gimbal seemed to do a kind of jerk motion as I walked around the corner of the path. Now, I think that there are some settings on that gimbal where you can make their movements smoother, but for that test, I thought it jerked a bit too much there. I didn't quite like it. When it came to running though, that gimbal absolutely shone. It was almost as if I wasn't running, you know, it was nice and smooth. So if it is fast moving, like sports kind of stuff or whatever, then obviously I think that gimbal is going to shine. So what's my verdict? Well, image stabilizers in cameras, well, good ones, they work really quite well, as you can see in this test. They'll be perfect for general vlogging, little bits of B-roll and things like that. If you've got a good image stabilizing system on your camera, it's going to be good for photography, obviously, but it's also going to be good for a bit of filming. Now, when it comes to pro work, like if you're going to do some weddings or some commercial videos for companies and stuff like that, then that is when that crane-free lab is going to be absolutely brilliant for you, because it takes out all the hassle of getting smooth motion. It's going to speed up your editing. And don't forget, you can also do other cool stuff like them vortex shots, big reveal shots and stuff like that. That's the stuff that you can't do, you know, with a DSLR, with an image stabilizing system. So if you're going pro and you're going to do video work professionally, then that gimbal, I think, is going to do you a right favour. So that was a good bit of fun, actually. I really enjoyed making that video, and it was really just to see how good image stabilizing systems are. And don't forget, if you are going to use them for filming, that Olympus one is probably better than the average, so just check that your one is good enough for it. So if you're interested in looking further into that gimbal or that Olympus camera, there are links in the description of this video. You can click and go and look at them. Thanks to Zion, I think that's how you pronounce it, for sending us that gimbal so that we could test it out. I really appreciate it. If you're a filmmaker, you know, that's a brilliant piece of kit, and it's really, really going to help you out. Thanks to Olympus as well for sending us that camera. Really appreciate it. Thanks for you guys for watching. Leave us a comment, tell us what you think. Like the video, share it with your friends, subscribe to our channel, and remember, learn more at the School of Photography. Oh, bloody hell, the life out of me.